Have you ever been in a meeting and felt like your coworkers are speaking a totally different language? You know, like a secret code of phrases that you're just supposed to get? Well, today we're cracking that code. This is your guide to the weird and wonderful language of the modern workplace. I mean, just listen to this. Hey, can we hop on a call so I can pick your brains? Let's put a pin in it for now and circle back EOD. Now, that might sound perfectly normal to some people, but if you're new to these terms, it can be completely baffling. Seriously. What does that even mean? For anyone who's new to the corporate world or maybe just starting at a new company, sentences like this can feel like a real roadblock to just doing your job. But don't you worry, because today we are going to translate that code. By the end of this, you're not only going to understand these phrases, but you'll feel way more confident using them yourself. All right, first up, let's dive into the language of collaboration. These are the kinds of phrases you're going to hear all the time when you're working on a team and trying to come up with great ideas together. So first on our list, pick your brains. Okay, it sounds kind of gruesome, I know, but it's actually a really common way to say you want to get ideas or advice from someone you respect. You're not a zombie. You're just asking a smart colleague for their take on something. And in that same vein, you might hear someone say they want to bounce ideas off you. I want you to think of it like playing catch. You throw an idea out there, they catch it, add their own spin, and throw it back. It's less about getting a final answer and more about just exploring possibilities together. And all of that often leads to a classic meeting activity, the brainstorm. Now, the key thing to remember about brainstorming is that there are no bad ideas. The whole point is to get a massive number of ideas out on the table first without judging any of them. The sifting and sorting, that comes later. And to wrap up this section, we have keep someone in the loop. Just picture a circle of communication, a loop. If you're in the loop, you're inside that circle, and you're getting all the important updates. It's really just a simple way of saying, hey, please make sure I know what's going on. Okay, so now that we know how to talk about ideas, let's shift gears and talk about managing the actual work. This is the language of tasks, deadlines, and, keeping all the plates spinning. If you hear the phrase, all hands on deck, listen up, because things just got serious. This actually comes from old sailing ships, where an emergency meant every single sailor, all hands, had to get on the deck to help out. In the office, it means a project is now the #1 priority, and everyone needs to pitch in, right now. You know that feeling when you're so focused on the tiny, little details that you totally forget the main point of what you're doing? Well, that is called being lost in the weeds. It's a really useful phrase to gently suggest that maybe, just maybe, the team needs to zoom out and look at the big picture again. Ever been in a meeting that's just going completely off the rails? That is where put a pin in it becomes your best friend. It's a super polite way of saying, hey, that's a great point, but let's pause this conversation for now so we can stay on topic. You're literally putting a mental pin in the idea to save it for later. So what happens after you put a pin in it? Well, naturally, you have to circle back. This is the promise that you're going to return to that topic later on. So if your manager says, I'll circle back with you, they're telling you they'll get you an answer or discuss it when the time is right. All right, next up, let's get into the jargon we use to describe people's work habits and how efficient or inefficient our systems are. So in pretty much any office, you're going to find different types of people. On one end of the spectrum, you've got the slacker. The person who avoids work. And on the total opposite end, you've got the workhorse, that super diligent, reliable person who just always gets things done. It's pretty clear which one you want to be. Now, here's a management style that absolutely nobody likes: micromanaging. This is when a boss controls every single little detail of what you do. It basically screams, I don't trust you, and it can be incredibly frustrating for employees. Okay, I want you to picture a process that's just total chaos. You've got emails flying all over the place, documents are getting lost, people are calling each other at random. Sure, the job might get done eventually, but it's a mess and it wastes a ton of time and energy. The goal, of course, is to turn that chaos into a clean, simple, straight line from start to finish. And the magic word for that transformation is to streamline. When you streamline a process, you're just cutting out all the junk to make it simpler and way more efficient. All right, time for a lightning round. Let's decode the most common acronyms you're going to see flying around in emails and work chats. These are absolutely essential for communicating quickly. Ready? Okay, here we go. ASAP, as soon as possible, means it's urgent. EOD, end of day. Your deadline is 5 o'clock. OOO, out of office. That's for your email auto reply. And FYI, for your information, basically means I'm just telling you this, you don't need to reply. And we're done. See? Easy. So what's the big takeaway here? Well, business jargon isn't just a bunch of confusing words designed to make you feel like an outsider. It's actually a toolkit, a set of shortcuts for communicating pretty complex ideas very quickly. Understanding this stuff helps you fit in with your team, and using it correctly shows that you're confident and you really get the workplace culture. So I'll leave you with this question. What's the one phrase from today that you're going to try out this week? Pick one, use it, and see how it feels. Because the whole point isn't just to speak the language, it's about being a more effective and confident part of your team.
So if you're working in an English-speaking environment, you know that there's this whole other language you have to learn, right?
Absolutely. It's not just English, it's business English.
Exactly. It's this specialized, sometimes really bizarre lexicon that you have to master, whether you're, talking to clients in London or managing a team from Singapore.
And that's what we're doing today. We've gone through a bunch of sources to pull out what we think are the 20 most critical phrases and 5 essential acronyms you just have to know.
And the goal here, our mission, isn't just to read you a dictionary.
No, not at all. It's to give you the strategic insight, how to use these phrases to sound fluent, to get what you want, and honestly, to avoid those really awkward moments of confusion.
Oh, I know those moments so well. That's actually where this whole deep dive started for me. I remember years ago, a colleague came up to me and said, "I'd love to pick your brains." Yeah, and I just froze. I thought, wait, what? Is this some kind of weird medical procedure? Am I a zombie? It just sounds so aggressive if you take it literally.
It really does, and yet that phrase is everywhere. And that's the thing. This is the language that actually moves projects forward. For you, the listener, this is the shortcut.
A shortcut to fluency.
Exactly. We're trying to bypass years of you just sort of slowly absorbing this stuff. We're handing you the vocabulary you need to talk strategy, to manage deadlines, to collaborate. If you master these, you're mastering the tactical language of the workplace.
Okay, absolutely. And we've organized everything into 5 clear categories. We're going to start with the real nuts and bolts, the day-to-day stuff.
Right. The tools for just surviving Monday. Let's jump in.
So first category, communication, requests, and time management. And we're starting, fittingly, with number 1. It's a phrase that's all about that shared cultural angst, a case of the Mondays.
This is such a great piece of cultural shorthand. It's a way you can express that you're not feeling motivated, or you can blame some small annoyance on the fact that it's Monday.
And everyone gets it. It's like this universally accepted excuse for not being at 100%.
Yeah, it's relatable. It's like, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
You're not complaining about your job specifically. You're just blaming the calendar.
Right. So you come in after a nice weekend, you see the mountain of emails, and you just feel sluggish. You can say, "Oh, I just don't have any motivation today. I guess I have a case of the Mondays." And nobody bats an eye.
And the sources point out a great nuance here. It's not always about your personal feeling. Let's say the printer breaks.
Of course. It's always the printer.
It's always the printer. You don't actually think Monday broke the printer, but you can just groan and say to a coworker, "Mondays, am I right?"
And it's totally rhetorical. You're just using Monday as this corporate scapegoat. It's a little moment of connection before you have to actually solve the problem.
And that connection is so important. It signals that you get the culture. And improving your business English isn't just about grammar. It's about fitting in. It's cultural integration.
Totally. Okay, so from shared misery to strategic politeness. Number 2, when you have a minute, or do you have a minute?
If you learn one polite phrase, this should be it. Its power is in what it's not saying. You're telling the other person, "I know you're busy and I respect your time."
Yes. It acknowledges their workflow. You're not just barging in and demanding their attention. Think about the power dynamic. If I go to my boss and say, "I need you to look at this now," that's not going to go well.
No, it's aggressive. It's entitled. But if you say, "When you have a minute, could you look at this report for me?" It changes everything.
You're giving them the control over when the interruption happens. It's smart.
It's very smart. Now, what if it's actually urgent? Can you still use it?
That's a good question. I feel like you could, but you'd have to add something.
You do. You have to add context. You'd say, "Do you have a minute? It's about the client deck that's due in an hour." So the phrase is the polite entry point, but the context signals the urgency. It just softens the whole demand.
I like that. Okay, perfect. So next up, a phrase that signals a really strong commitment. Number 3, first thing in the morning.
This is a non-negotiable promise. When you say this, you are saying this task will be the absolute first priority at the start of the next business day.
And the sources highlight a really key linguistic detail here. It's a fixed phrase. There's no the. You don't say first thing in the morning.
Right, it's first thing in the morning. And using it correctly like that, it just makes you sound fluent. It's a small tell, but it's an important one.
So the commitment level is super high. If you tell your manager, sorry, I can't finish this today, but I'll do it first thing in the morning, what are you actually promising?
You're promising it's the very first thing you do before you
right.
check your email, before you grab coffee. It's task number 1. It's a level of certainty that just saying, I'll do it tomorrow, completely lacks.
Which means you have to be careful with it. If you promise something first thing and then you don't deliver, you've broken a very specific high priority promise.
Exactly. Use it wisely. But when you do use it, it sets a crystal clear expectation, which is really the hallmark of great business communication.
Okay, so our fourth and final phrase in this section, this one is all about modern remote work. Number 4, hop on a call.
This one has just exploded in the last few years, hasn't it?
Oh, completely. It's the new swing by my desk.
It is. It means let's quickly start a phone call or a video call to discuss something right now. It implies spontaneity.
And urgency. It means this issue is too complex or too urgent for email or Slack. We need to talk now.
And that word hop is so important. It's not schedule a meeting. That implies an agenda, a calendar invite, 30 minutes blocked off. Hop on a call. Suggests something quick, easy, low effort.
Right, like we're just hopping over a small hurdle together.
Exactly. The example from the source is perfect. Can we hop on a call? Our client has some questions and I don't know how to answer them. That immediately elevates the problem. It says this requires a real-time conversation to solve.
And, from a strategic standpoint, if you're the one who's stuck suggesting this shows initiative, you're not just sitting there sending confused emails back and forth.
Good point. You're actively seeking the most efficient path to a solution. You're valuing everyone's time.
Excellent. Okay, so mastering those 4 really helps with your daily interactions. Let's shift gears a bit now into the world of ideas, how they're generated, how they're shared.
Collaboration. Let's do it.
All right, so category 2 is collaboration, ideas, and information flow. And we're starting with the phrase that started this whole thing for me. Number 5, pick your brains.
Despite the gruesome imagery.
Yeah.
It's actually a huge compliment.
It really is once you understand it.
It means I'm asking for your advice specifically because you know more than I do. You have the experience, the expertise, the institutional knowledge. I'm singling you out.
Yeah, you're not just asking for an opinion, you're asking for deep strategic insight. Like the source says, you might use it when someone has been at the company for a long time.
Right. I know you've been here for 5 years. I'd love to pick your brains about what it's really like to work here. You're looking for that unwritten knowledge that's not in the employee handbook.
Or it could be about future strategy. Can I pick your brains about what you're thinking for next quarter? You're acknowledging that their perspective is more valuable than yours.
So here's the strategic part. If you're going to ask to pick someone's brains, you better come prepared.
Oh, 100%.
Because you've just complimented their expertise, you have to respect their time. Show up with specific, smart questions. Don't just say, so, tell me stuff.
That's a great point. Wasting their time after complimenting them is, not a good look.
Not a good look at all.
Okay, so from deep expertise to something a little more low stakes. Number 6, bounce ideas off of.
This is such a critical phrase for any kind of creative or early stage development. You're sharing an idea just to get a quick reaction. Crucially, you're not asking for a final decision or a big commitment.
I love the source material uses for this one. It's like a bouncy ball. You toss the idea out.
And it comes back to you, maybe a little different, a little better. And you throw it again.
Yeah. It's an exchange. It implies the idea is still fluid, it's not perfect yet, and you're inviting the other person to help shape it.
And that takes all the pressure off. If I say, hey, can I bounce an idea off you? I'm signaling that this is not a formal pitch, it's a work in progress. The other person can be more honest because they don't have to worry about crushing your dream.
Right. And the source also notes you can shorten it. You can just say, bounce some ideas off you.
Both are super common. It's all about that initial exploratory phase of collaboration.
Which is a perfect segue to the activity itself. Number 7, brainstorm.
So brainstorming is the formal process of generating a ton of new ideas, usually in a group. And the number one rule is that there are no bad ideas.
At least not at first.
Not at first. The goal is quantity over quality initially. You want to get everything out on the table. The wild ideas, the safe ideas, all of it.
And for that to work, you need what people call psychological safety. Everyone in that room has to feel safe enough to share a half-baked or crazy idea without being judged. If they don't, the whole process just...
It fails.
It completely fails. So when a manager says, tomorrow we're going to brainstorm our new marketing ideas, they're setting the stage for that specific open-ended process. The goal isn't to walk out with a decision. It's to walk out with a long list of possibilities.
And once you've executed on one of the billion ideas, you need to analyze how it went. That brings us to number 8, debrief.
A debrief is a much more structured process. It's a review after an event. The word itself has these, military or emergency response connotations. It implies seriousness and a thorough analysis. It's not just a casual chat. No, it's vital for learning as an organization. You focus on what went right, what went wrong, and most importantly, what are we going to do differently next time?
And you can use it as a verb. Let's have a meeting to debrief. Or as a noun, the debrief showed our main error was in the timeline. The key difference between this and just, a regular meeting is that structured assessment of performance.
Okay, so shifting from meetings to written communication. Number 9 is about speed. Shoot off an email or fire off an email.
The verbs here say everything. Shoot and fire. It's about speed, action, getting it done. It means to send a quick, functional email.
Right. It's not a long, beautifully crafted, formal memo. It's the opposite of that. It's usually short, to the point, and focused on transmitting a specific piece of information quickly.
Like, I need to fire off an email to legal to confirm this point before our call. It's about getting something off your plate and into someone else's inbox. It prioritizes speed over polish.
And I think it also manages the recipient's expectations. If I tell you I'm shooting you an email, you're not expecting a novel. You're expecting a quick, scannable message.
That's a great point. It's a tool for managing pace.
Okay, and the last one for this category, a huge one for transparency, number 10. Keep someone in the loop.
The metaphor is perfect, right?
Yeah.
A loop of information. If you're in the loop, you're connected. You're getting all the necessary updates.
And if you're out of the loop, you're lost. You're excluded. This is often used when you're trying to get caught up. Hey, I missed the meeting. Please keep me in the loop on any decision.
Or it's a directive from a manager.
Yeah.
The boss wants you to keep her in the loop. And this is where it gets really strategic because it's about power.
Say more about that.
Well, deciding who is in the loop and who is not is a major strategic decision. If you keep your boss in the loop, you're covered. But if you don't loop someone in, that could be a deliberate choice.
Right. Maybe they're a micromanager and you need to move fast without their interference.
Exactly. Or maybe the information is sensitive. The more common mistake, though, is overlooping. CCing everyone on every tiny update.
Oh, that's the worst. Information fatigue.
Total information fatigue. It dilutes what's actually important.
Yeah.
So mastering this phrase means knowing exactly who needs to know and when they need to know it. It's a balancing act.
Absolutely. Okay, so now we're going to move into phrases that define people, processes, and the big picture strategy.
Let's do it. Category 3.
We're starting with two sides of the same coin, the extremes of work ethic. First, the negative one, number 11, slacker.
A slacker is, well, it's pretty direct. It's someone who is lazy, who doesn't do their share of the work, and often just expects other people to pick up the slack.
It's a really critical term, and the sources tie it directly to that frustration you feel in a group project when one person just isn't pulling their weight.
He's such a slacker, he's always late, and now I have to stay late to finish his part. It's a huge morale killer.
And for a manager, hearing an employee get called a slacker is a big red flag. It points to a problem with accountability or maybe even burnout, and once that label sticks to someone, it's really hard to get rid of.
Very hard.
Okay, so the complete opposite of that. Number 12, workhorse.
This is high praise. A workhorse is that person who is just incredibly diligent, reliable, and hardworking. They're the person you can always count on to get things done, often without any fuss.
Yeah, they're the engine of the team. And when you use this term, you're usually suggesting that person deserves something more. She really deserves a promotion. She's a total workhorse.
It speaks to sustained high-level productivity. Now, we do have to be a little careful here.
How so?
Well, you want to celebrate hard work, but you don't want to celebrate burnout. Sometimes the workhorse is just the person who is compensating for the slacker or for a broken system. So a good manager recognizes the workhorse, but also fixes the underlying problem.
That's a really important distinction. Okay, moving from people to projects. Number 13, all hands on deck.
This one signals an emergency. It's a crisis mode phrase. It means a situation is so critical that absolutely everyone needs to drop what they're doing and help out.
I love the origin of this one. It's from sailing, right?
Yep. A storm hits, the captain yells, all hands on deck, and every single sailor, no matter their job, has to come help manage the sails and save the ship.
And it's the same in an office. A huge deadline is about to be missed. A major client is angry. It's all hands on deck to fix this. It transfers the pressure from one person to the whole team.
And the sources mention the modern version of this.
Yeah.
An all-hands meeting, which just means a meeting that everyone in the company, or at least a very large department, is required to attend, usually for some major announcement.
Okay, next up, number 14. A management style nobody wants. Micromanage.
Ugh. This is probably the most friction-causing word in this category. To micromanage is to control every single tiny detail of an employee's work.
And what it's really about is a lack of trust, isn't it?
It's entirely about a lack of trust. It says, I don't trust you to do your job correctly, so I'm going to watch over your shoulder and check everything. It's demoralizing. It kills creativity.
It's infuriating. An employee will think, no one likes to be micromanaged. Can't you just trust me?
And from a business perspective, it's just incredibly inefficient. If a senior manager is spending their time double-checking an intern's font choices, that's a huge waste of a very expensive resource. Their time should be spent on high-level strategy, not that.
Definitely. Okay, shifting to that higher level strategy now. Number 15, align.
Alignment is a huge corporate buzzword, but it's really important. It means to be in agreement with or to support the company's main goals or strategy. And remember the pronunciation, the G is silent. Align.
And this is basically the language of getting things approved. If your new project idea doesn't align with the company's goals for the year, it's not getting funded.
Exactly. You might hear, that project does not align with our Q4 goals. It might be a brilliant idea, but if it doesn't fit the current strategy, it's a non-starter.
It also comes up with partnerships. Our company aligns itself with organizations that share our environmental values. It's all about strategic fit.
So if you want to get a project approved, your first job is to prove how it aligns with what the company already wants to do.
Got it. Okay, number 16 is a big action verb for managers. Streamline.
To streamline something is to make it simpler, faster, and more efficient. To take a process that's, as the source says, crazy all over the place and make it a smooth, logical flow.
And the benefits are obvious, right? It lowers costs, it increases speed. You might streamline customer onboarding, for example.
You take a process that used to involve 5 people in 3 different forms, and you turn it into one automated online form. That's streamlining.
Now, it can have a bit of a dark side, too. Sometimes when a company says, we're streamlining the organization.
It means layoffs.
Yeah.
The company streamlined its operations by reducing the number of middle managers. It often means they've identified redundancies, and those redundancies are people's jobs.
So, a word to listen for carefully. Okay, last one in this category, and it's a big one for startups and investors. Number 17, scalable.
This is a huge concept. A business or an idea is scalable if you can grow its revenue exponentially without a proportional increase in your costs.
Okay, break that down. What does that actually mean?
So think about a baker. To sell twice as many cakes, she has to spend twice as much on ingredients and maybe twice as much time baking. Her costs scale directly with her revenue. That's linear growth. It's not scalable.
Okay, I get that.
Now, think about someone who creates an online course. They spend the time and money to create it once. That they can sell that same course to 10 people or 100 people or 1 million people. The cost to them is basically the same, but the revenue potential is nearly infinite.
Ah, I see. That's scalable.
That is scalable. And that's what investors are always looking for. A business model that can grow really, really big, really, really fast, without the cost growing just as fast.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, let's move into our next section, which is all about the crucial language of running a meeting effectively.
The art of keeping things on track.
Exactly. Category 4, focus and follow-up. We're starting with number 18, the polite way to say you're off topic, in the weeds, or lost in the weeds.
This is a meeting facilitator's secret weapon. It's the warning sign that the conversation has gotten stuck on tiny, unimportant details and you're losing sight of the main goal.
And it's a really respectful way to interrupt, isn't it? You're not saying your point is stupid. You're saying your point is too detailed for this specific moment.
Precisely. You can say, I think we're getting a little lost in the weeds here. Let's refocus on the main goal, which is our Q3 budget. It gently pulls everyone back up to that 10,000-foot view.
Yeah, people love to dive into the weeds because details feel safe and controllable. This phrase is the tool you use to steer them back to the bigger, harder questions.
So our next two are all about postponing those details. First, number 19, circle back.
Ah, classic.
It's a classic. It literally means to come back to a topic or a question later on. The image is you're making a circle in the conversation and returning to a previous point.
And it has two main uses, right? First is to put off a topic that's derailing the meeting.
Yep. That's a great point, but it's a bit off topic. Can we circle back to it at the end if we have time? It's a polite deferral.
And the second use is more persistent. It's for when someone ignored your question.
Right. You can say, to circle back to my question from earlier, what's the final deadline for this? It's a professional way of saying, hey, you didn't answer me, and I'm not letting it go.
Very useful. Okay, and number 20 is very similar, but with a key difference. Put a pin in it.
So these are often used interchangeably, but there is a subtle distinction. When you put a pin in it, you're often making a more concrete commitment to come back to it later.
So it's stronger than circle back.
I think so, yeah. The metaphor is like you're literally pinning that idea to a corkboard so you don't forget it. It acknowledges the idea is important.
So circle back might mean, maybe we'll talk about this later if we get to it.
Right, but put a pin in it often implies a specific future action. That's a great idea. Let's put a pin in it and make it the first item on next week's agenda. It's a guaranteed postponement, not just a maybe.
That's a great distinction. Mastering that difference is a pretty high-level communication skill.
It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our 20 spoken phrases. Now we need to tackle the written shortcuts, the acronyms.
Right. Category 5, business English acronyms. These are the language of email efficiency. Let's start with number 21, EOD.
EOD, end of day. This one is almost always written, and it's used to set a very clear deadline.
No ambiguity. If your boss emails you, I need this report by EOD on Wednesday, that means it needs to be in her inbox before she logs off for the day on Wednesday, usually 5 p.m.
Exactly. It grounds the deadline in standard business hours. Just saying Wednesday could mean 11:59 p.m. EOD is much more specific and, frankly, more reasonable.
Okay, number 22 is when you see when people aren't there at all.
Out of office.
Yeah.
The classic auto reply. It just tells the sender, I'm not here right now, I'll be back on this date, and here's who to contact if it's an emergency.
It's a simple notification, but it's also a really important tool for setting boundaries, isn't it?
It's critical. By setting up your OO, you are managing expectations. You're giving yourself permission to actually disconnect from work without people wondering why you're not responding.
Very true. Okay, number 23 is the one for when things are on fire. ASAP.
As soon as possible. This is the urgency amplifier. It means now, immediately, without delay.
And you hear this one spoken too, either as ASAP or as a word AYSAP.
Both are common, but the sources give a really important warning here. You have to be so careful with this one.
Why is that?
Because if you label every single request ASAP, the word loses all its meaning. It's like crying wolf. People will just start ignoring you.
Right. You have to save it for the true emergencies where if this doesn't get done right now, something bad is actually going to happen.
Exactly. A real financial loss or a client walking away. That's an ASAP situation. A typo on an internal memo is not.
Got it. Okay. Next up, number 24 is for sharing information. FYI.
For your information. This is mostly used when you're forwarding an email or adding a piece of bonus info. It's a way of saying, hey, no action needed from you, but you should probably be aware of this.
So you might forward an email with just FYI in the body. It flags it as relevant to the recipient.
Now, this one has bled over into spoken language quite a bit. It's pretty common to hear someone say it casually, like, oh, FYI, I can't make it to the party tomorrow. It's just a quick way to deliver a piece of information.
Right. Okay, and our last one, number 25, is the one everyone looks forward to, TGIF.
Thank God it's Friday. Or thank goodness it's Friday for a more secular office.
Haha, right. This is all about that shared feeling of relief that the work week is finally over.
It's a little celebration. You'll mostly see it written in a company Slack channel on a Friday afternoon or in a text to a work friend. It's part of that internal culture. Acknowledging the hard work of the week.
It's that little release valve at the end of the week, a shared moment.
Totally.
Wow. Okay, so we've just done a really deep dive into 20 essential phrases and 5 acronyms. For you, our listener, this is so much more than just a vocab list. This is about mastering the tactical language of influence at work.
It really is. You're now so much better equipped to say what you actually mean and, maybe even more importantly, to understand the subtext of what other people are saying to you.
We've talked so much about how this language dictates your standing. Being able to streamline a conversation or know when to put a pin in it, that's the difference between being a key player and just being a spectator.
And that clarity, that speed, it's everything. Knowing when to flag something ASAP versus just letting it go until EOD. These aren't just phrases. They're strategic decisions.
They really are.
But, thinking about all this, it brings up a bigger question for me, a final thought. We've been talking about these phrases as if they exist in a single shared context.
What do you mean?
Well, we define EOD, end of day. But whose day? In a global team that spans continents, does first thing in the morning mean morning in London, or in New York, or Tokyo?
Ah, that's a fascinating point. The vocabulary we've mastered is based on these shared cultural ideas, like a 9-to-5 workday.
Ideas that are being completely blown up by global teams and constant digital communication.
So the very language we're using is being challenged by the way we now work.
Precisely. If we're all constantly shooting off emails and demanding things ASA across 12 different time zones, are we really being efficient? Or are we just creating a recipe for global burnout and total confusion?
Wow.
The real challenge for the future isn't just knowing what these phrases mean. It's about knowing when their context is broken. It's about creating a new language, maybe, for asynchronous work that is truly scalable on a global level.
So master the language, but also know when to break the rules.
That's a powerful thought to end on.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the language of business.
It was a pleasure.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.